Yes.
Bakara and Flash. No, I'm just kidding. Too much.
No such thing.
It's a little too much. Okay, let me get my hair cute.
What is the most challenging thing you've gone through?
I mean, let me count the ways. I think that, I'll speak to the most recently challenging thing that I've gone through, which is the loss of relationships that meant a lot to me. And this was kind of, it wasn't through everyday magic, but it was definitely through like the processes of how I've changed since opening everyday magic. And I think kind of when you lose significant relationships, like what I tell every client and what I try to tell myself is like, don't go into the mode of like, why aren't I good enough? Like, what did I do? But there's a fine line between that and taking responsibility for the things that happened. So much of my identity in the past has been tied to the people around me, and I've needed it to be that way. Or I've made it that way because I was scared. So I think figuring out who I am in the wake of these significant relationships, leaving myself whole in the wake of these relationships, leaving them whole in the wake of these relationships, has been the hardest, because those are the moments. My biggest trigger is like abandonment. So like that'll get me angry and turn me into a monster faster than anything. So it's been a very intense rewiring to lose the people that you never planned to live without, and to decide if you're a whole person on the other side of that.
Yeah. Okay. What don't you want to tell people but know you probably should share because it could help someone else?
Everything on social media is an illusion. Everything that I post is a page of the story. What happens before that and after that is exactly what happens to you before and after that. Like, you move the books and papers and the cat out of the way to get the photo, and then you take the photo and you post it, and then, you get your little adrenaline rush of people liking it, and you have the ability to put on a face to the world, and it's what you want them to see. But in that there's a beauty in social media for the ability to connect, but there's such an importance to remember that nothing is ever as good as it looks, ever. Like, I find I have a hard time receiving love, but I have a bit of a dilemma when someone says like, you're living my dream, like you're my hero, like this looks like this, because there's a truth to it of, yes, I have this business and it's amazing, and yes, I get to do what I love every day and it's amazing, but for every bit of light there's a drop of dark that counterbalances it, and no one's life is as good as it seems. No one's life is as easy as they present it to be, especially mine. So I endeavor to kind of stay honest about that, but I think it's gotten to a point where we all know that we're lying because everyone is lying, that hopefully we can kind of come back to a more honest place. But I think that the most important thing that I can do is also like admit to that truth that like everyone is lying, including me. So like let's keep each other on the human scale, no matter who it is or how much you admire them or how much you fucking hate them. Like, they're still on the same scale as you. They still, wake up and brush their teeth and feed their dog and move shit out of the way to take a cute Instagram photo that is 10 times prettier than what their life actually looks like. Everyone, you, me, your enemies, your friends, your heroes, like, we're not that different.
I wanted to ask you, for everyone who doesn't know, who you are and like what you do. You were talking about reading, so can you just explain your experience with tarot, how you got into it, what what it meant to you, what it means to you now, and then
Yes.
kind of like dig into like one of your favorite cards, maybe.
Yes, sure.
Okay.
So tarot came to me when I was living in New York, and I was working at a literary agency. So I was finding authors out of the slush pile and petitioning the agents at the agency to sign their books and sell them. And that was exactly what I wanted to do. That is not an easy job to get, even though it's like intense bitch work and no money. So I was doing that. I was really happy. I got quickly promoted, and I had like a nervous breakdown. I was so stressed out. I mean, they're giving you that industry, even the best of it, which is where I worked, they pay you nothing and they overwork you to death. So I was assisting 2 people. I was a mess, and one of the authors at the agency recommended me to a therapist who gifted me my first tarot deck. So it was completely not looking for it at all, but the second that I got it, it was clear that this was going to change my life relatively quickly, and it did. So I was giving readings, I think 3 weeks after I got my tarot deck. I started reading for people professionally. And then 6 months after that, I quit my job to read for people full-time professionally. So I guess what that felt like from the inside was a big blur of like, I have to do this. Like, you know, like I loved doing it. It felt correct. It felt important. And like, I feel like that first little bit was like me just running in circles, changing my life in any way that the tarot asked me to. I suspected, I knew it was a powerful magical object the second I saw it, but my interests in it were like, oh my God, can I do this? Can I read tarot? Like, and then I realized I could, and I'm like, that's so cool, I can do this. And I feel like my ego has been in a slow state of deconstruction ever since. So, I mean, one of the first clients I had was this woman who wanted to recall the memory of the sexual abuse that she experienced as a child. She's like, I know I experienced it, but I can't remember anything. And then the second client was a man who had just lost his wife, and his literal question to me was like, how do I keep living now? Like, how am I supposed to keep living? So there was no room. First of all, like I just like, it shrunk me back to right size so quickly, which is like, either come correct to help these people or do not come at all. Like, you will do more damage by being on an ego trip with people who have real need. So that began the heart opening, the shrinking, all of it. I mean, like, it's been a battle of my ego the whole time. I have a strong ego, and I like attention, and I like being special, and I like, you know, like whatever. But it was never about that. It just took me a really long time. Still learning how not about that it is.
Yeah.